It's exactly 1 month today since the Pahalgam terror attack, and while India presented a powerful united front through Operation Sindoor, cracks are now beginning to show and how in that unity. Not just has leader of the opposition Rahul Gandhi been attacking the foreign minister, accusing him rather oddly, or I would even say bizarrely, of giving away war plans to Pakistan, the Congress has been targeting the Prime Minister and the government and demanding a special session of Parliament. There have also been politics around the composition of the cross party delegations that have carried India's message across the world. In a moment from now, we'll be talking to veteran journalist Neerja Chowdhury. I'm Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo story. Our focus today is on the 1 month anniversary of the Pahalgam terror attack. Those images are still seared in the hearts and minds of the people of India. We have seen India striking terror bases and Pakistan when it then sent drones and missiles into India's cities, targeting military bases as well as civilian areas. Pakistan was at the receiving end of India's retaliatory action. Operation Sindoor is not over. The Modi government has said it is still only a pause. The Prime Minister spoke today in Bikaner at a public rally, making a blistering attack on Pakistan, even naming specific air bases in Pakistan that he said had been ravaged and devastated by the Indian armed forces. He did not make any mention of the opposition. But as we know, two things have been, in a way, competing for headline space. One is the attacks from Rahul Gandhi. Mr. Gandhi, as leader of the opposition, has been targeting EAM Jaishankar, accusing him, despite multiple clarifications from the MEA, of having given away war plans to the Pakistanis in advance. And then there's Donald Trump, who's proved to be a bit of a thorn in the side of the government, repeatedly positioning himself as somebody who played a role in the India-Pakistan halt in hostilities. As the cross-party delegations travel across the world, perhaps most prominently led to the United States among other countries by Shashi Tharoor, there is now a political war, an unfortunate political war here at home. To talk about the politics of all that is unfolding, I'm joined now by senior journalist and columnist and author Neerja Chowdhury, who has an excellent column in the Indian Express on the vitiated political atmosphere. Neerja, thank you so much. Let me start by asking you, what do you think changed? Do you think everything began to unravel when Dr. Tharoor, Manish Tewari were announced as members of the delegations by the government, and these names were not included in the Congress list? Because till then, you did not see this kind of public, crosstalk or finger pointing between the two sides.
I think, this was a rare moment since it's 1 month after Pahalgam. It was a rare unity that India showed after Pahalgam. And, for the entire political class to stand together, for the Congress party that loves to take on the Prime Minister to say any stand that the government takes, any line that the government takes, the Congress party and the opposition would support it. And then you had Kashmiri voices stand with the rest of India. That was after a long time. There were no Hindu-Muslim clashes which the terrorists must have hoped for. So that was an uplifting what you call spectacle. Even though Pahalgam, as you and I know, we've seen nothing like that. To have men folk, it wasn't just terror attack like terror attacks in the past. To have men folk, talk about their religion and killed in front of their wives and women folk in cold blood. So the country will take a long time to forget that. But what your question is, this was natural. In a democracy, the operation is over, the conflict is over, so to speak, immediately, and politics is back center stage. It's not going to go away in a democracy. But that is not the central point. It is the manner in which each side attacked the other. For Rahul Gandhi to take on the foreign minister, to say, virtually said he alerted the Pakistanis by saying, that we were going to target only the terror bases. Now, it's unthinkable that the foreign minister who was navigating a very difficult situation would do that. So was there a misunderstanding? What was the plan? So the leader of the opposition could have picked up the phone and called up the foreign minister, said, look, this video has gone viral. What is the truth behind it? Or if he had to
Yeah.
go public, what, tell us about it. What is all this about? But to call it a crime and to call it damning, which is what the words used were uncalled for, could have been avoided. And then to have the BJP side, take on Rahul Gandhi, be Jafar, talk about the Congress leaders being Pakistani agents, anti-national. You can take them on. They're asking questions, legitimate questions, which an opposition party is expected to ask. And if they don't, people will question them why they did not do so. But to call them anti-national, to question their patriotism, again, totally uncalled for. So I think it is the level to which that debate and that wrangling went that is very distasteful. And this was happening even as a major initiative for a world outreach was being planned. And the central theme of that major initiative is that India was going to speak with one voice. Multi-party representatives were going to go to world capitals and speak with one voice about what India's stand against terror was and what India stood for. So, this did not make sense at all.
Yeah. Let's talk about where do you think it changed, right? As you mentioned, we saw Kashmiris in large numbers come out and condemn what had happened and said, not in our name. We saw the Congress initially say, we stand with the government, we'll support whatever you decide to do. Do you think it changed over the singular issue of Shashi Tharoor? Before I play out what the Prime Minister has said today, do you think it changed entirely over Shashi Tharoor's inclusion? Shashi Tharoor is, of course, became one of the most articulate spokespeople for the country through this very tense moment, and he, I think he took a position which was, as he told me, I am Indian before I'm anything else. This is not Congress, BJP for me. I am first and foremost an Indian. So, in your column, you say the Congress scored an own goal. Even if the BJP was playing mischief, the Congress could have just preempted that by including him and Manish Tewari in their own list. They did not do that. Jairam Ramesh at a press conference very publicly looked irritated at questions about Shashi Tharoor and said, Tharoor saab sirf apne liye bolte hain. Do you think it all changed only over Shashi Tharoor? I'm so sorry, I can't hear you, ma'am.
If
Now I
truth be
can.
told,
Yeah.
then yes, if Shashi Tharoor had not been included in the delegation that was to go to different capitals, he is leading one to the United States and some other countries, then this controversy, I suspect, might not have happened. This spat might not have happened. Now, Shashi Tharoor did not figure in the Congress list. Congress had 4 people. The government side rejected 3. They included Anand Sharma and they chose to have Manish Tewari and Amar Singh and Salman Khurshid. Now, Barkha, this is a government delegation. A government delegation is very different from a parliamentary delegation. It's a government delegation because you have on it former MPs, people who are not parliamentarians, and security experts. So the government has a right to constitute a government delegation, but it could have just gone ahead and done so, and those it chose could have talked to the respective parties, but the party chiefs were happy about it. But it did not do so. What it did was to actually go to party chiefs. It went, Mr. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju spoke to Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge and leader of the opposition Rahul Gandhi and sought 4 names from them. So they gave 4 names, of which 3 were rejected. So they were riled by this. Now, having said that, they felt that the BJP was up to its old tricks and was playing mischief and trying to show the Congress as a divided house. Now, I say very simply, suppose this is true, as many in the Congress believe it is, then it could have just ridden this and said, very good, look at the number of experienced, articulate, savvy people we have in our midst, who every party who comes to power, every other party who comes to power, then seeks our people in a time like this. They could have taken the credit for it. They could have turned, made a virtue out of a necessity, which is what they did not do. And instead, they came across as, almost disowning their own senior leaders. And these senior leaders are all very, very, they have, as I've said in my article, they have an understanding of the complex global situation today. So, and they're tall figures and they cannot be dismissed so easily. You may like them in the party, or there may be factional fights in the party, but at a time like this, the Congress could have said, hey, these are our people. Congress is a party of governance. Congress is a party of Rajkaj. We know how to run the country, but we've done it for decades. They did not do that. And they came across as, I would say, petty, maybe. And I think it was a moment lost. And that's why I say the Congress scored a self goal.
To come to what might happen now, as you write in your column, they cannot take action against Tharoor because it would make them look even smaller than they possibly look in the eyes of some right now. But also the Kerala elections are upcoming. But for Shashi Tharoor also, unless he totally crosses ideological camps, there are not a lot of good options. Do you see this ending here, or do you see this erupting into a bigger political war within the Congress?
I think that remains to be seen, how the Congress High Command handles this situation. And if the Congress decides to take action against Shashi Tharoor, what would they be acting against? I mean, has he crossed any party line? He's made a case for bipartisanship in politics, that all right, domestic politics, you can have differences, but there should be a coherent, unified approach on issues of national security, national interest. And therefore, I mean, does the Congress disagree with that? I mean, it'll have to make clear what is it that he's violated, what is the indiscipline that he's done. So
Yeah.
I think if Barkha, I was listening to some of the on YouTube channel, the conversations he's had with journalists, media people from different countries who reached out to
Yeah.
him. And he was very savvy in the way he handled it. I mean, nobody could have done better. And many people have been saying this, that he did better than any of the BJP spokespersons did in articulating India's stand, and of course the government stand. It is also the government stand. So, and so did some others from the Congress
Yeah.
party. And
Yeah.
therefore, it's strange today. It's an irony that the Prime Minister, in the initial days after Operation Sindoor, after the ceasefire, came in for a lot of criticism on social media for going in for the ceasefire when he did, and for Donald Trump taking the credit for it, for bringing Kashmir center stage, for creating parity between India and Pakistan, and so on. And ironically, it was these senior figures from the Congress party who were defending so ably the government's position, and I would say that represented at that particular point India's position. So I think I asked this question, that is Shashi Tharoor only an individual, and he'll have to decide what his future is going to be? Congress, of course, will have to decide, with Kerala elections due next year, whether it takes action against him. And does that wear the pitch for the Congress party? Kerala is one of the states where it's really confident of winning this time next year. So does it go on that path? And for Shashi Tharoor, what is the role for him? Does he float his own party if the Congress takes action against him? Does he join the BJP? I think highly unlikely. Does he join CPM? Highly unlikely. He would probably like to play a larger role, and not long ago he expressed this wish. He said, my party is not using my services as it could, and I have other options. He's spoken about that. Now, is he now going for a scenario where BJP and the government might use him the way they've used him this time, use his services? But I say that Shashi Tharoor today may not just be an individual. Shashi Tharoor, the Shashi Tharoor factor, is this going to turn into, this is my question mark, into
Hmm.
a phenomenon? Is there a churning at the ground level today in the country with many people feeling, yes, there is a place for bipartisan politics in our country? We've had too much of this vicious political polarization and bitterness, that there is simply no dialogue even at moments of crisis between the two sides, which used to be there in the past. So does he represent this kind of, a fatigue setting in with this kind of polarization in the politics? I don't know the answer to that. But the reason why Shashi Tharoor seems to be carving a niche for himself, which goes beyond the Congress following, beyond the Congress party, particularly in the last 2 3 years, is it because the mood in the country is going in the direction of what he is articulating?
Well, I would also add to that by saying that the position he's taken is somewhat of a different position from what the Congress is now articulating. And that difference is also there for everybody to see. So he has remained true to his socially liberal politics, but he has taken a very almost center right position on national security, on his identity as an Indian. And I think that might be the sort of zeitgeist of the times, that yes, we want a more inclusive, liberal, chilled, relaxed social fabric, but we don't want to compromise when it comes to India's strategic interests. And I think he's got a very interesting mix there. I want to
That's
just
right.
play out briefly what Shashi said to me. This was before he was announced for the delegations. But I asked him how he felt about becoming almost the face of India's response on the global stage. And this is what he said. How do you see all this attention on Shashi Tharoor speaking for India?
Barkha, I'm an Indian first and foremost, and everything else follows. We all have multiple identities, but above all, these identities are possible and safe and secure because I'm Indian. I mean, that's the sheltering carapace under which I'm also everything else that I might be. And therefore, for me, when it's a question of my country's national security, nothing comes ahead of that. And I'm very, very proud to respond when people ask me to speak. I wasn't asked by the government to do that. I was asked by channels around the world who wanted an Indian voice, and I understood the importance of putting across our point of view in many of these audiences. And I'm very pleased that those people at home, and more important, perhaps those people abroad who've seen it, have got the message.
So, he's very clear that nothing comes before my identity as an Indian and my national security, my country's national security. In other words, my identity as a congressman will have to take second position to this identity that I have chosen to embrace. Now, even if the cynics will say, oh, it's just politics, he's trying to be bigger than his party, he's trying to, as one congressman said, Are, he to tries to speak to the people of India directly. Whatever it is, it's working for him. So why would he not do it? It's working for him. And now I want you to contrast this with why you think Rahul Gandhi, who was supporting the government in this operation throughout, suddenly changed his approach, changed his tone, and made, there are many things you can ask the government, right? You can say, please explain why is Trump for the eighth time today talking about his role? Why is Trump going on saying this? Why have we not been able to catch the terrorists who inflicted Pahalgam? Why are you not convening a special session of parliament? Why should our messaging be different? There are many real and serious questions to ask of the government. But it is not a serious question to say that Jaishankar gave away the war plans to Pakistan. That is not a serious question. And not just did he say it once, he said it twice, and then it became the Congress position. Although I can tell you that at least a few Congress people that I have spoken to privately were not comfortable with this. And if you notice, Chidambaram, I think in an Indian Express interview, was asked about it, and he said the MEA has clarified, let's move on. He didn't want to add to that noise.
That's right. The senior people in the Congress have taken that view or are of that view. Some have spoken, some have not spoken. But Rahul Gandhi, why would he do this? Maybe he felt he was playing the role of the opposition. I really don't know. Maybe he was trying to deepen the contradictions that have arisen And the criticism that's come from the extreme right of Narendra Modi, those people who've said he should not have gone in for a ceasefire, we should have taken POK, we should have, brought Pakistan to its knees, and that those kind of voices that you heard on social media, also in the early hours after the ceasefire, from people who've been very pro-government. So maybe he was sharpening those contradictions by saying, was Jaishankar, the foreign minister of India, soft towards Pakistan and was actually helping them? I don't know if that was a political line. I don't know whether it was, but Rahul Gandhi, in the way he's articulated it, because after all, you're talking about the foreign minister of India, and there are ways and ways of saying the same thing without it coming across as abrasive or,
See, it actually becomes non-serious. I mean, if Jaishankar, hypothetically, if what Rahul Gandhi was saying is true, if Jaishankar was actually some seditious minister who was leaking war plans, he's not going to come on camera and then say it.
That's
The
right.
whole thing is a bit farcical. The issue, as an issue, it's farcical, and and what happens then is that all communication breaks down between government and Congress. So that divide, as you've captured in your column, increases even further. I want to play out for you what the Prime Minister at a public rally said in Rajasthan today, because we're very clearly moving now slowly from the realm of the military war to a political kind of battle at home, and there have been all kinds of battles. The Prime Minister did not mention the Congress, which surprised me. I thought he might refer to Rahul Gandhi's comments on Jaishankar. He did not mention those at all, but he made a very fiery speech on Operation Sindoor. Take a look.
आजादी के बाद पिछले कई दशकों से यही चला आ रहा था। पाकिस्तान आतंक फैलाता था, निर्दोष लोगों की हत्याएं करता था, भारत में डर का माहौल बनाता था, लेकिन पाकिस्तान एक बात भूल गया। अब मां भारती का सेवक मोदी यहां सीना तान कर खड़ा है। मोदी का दिमाग ठंडा है, ठंडा रहता है, लेकिन मोदी का लहू गर्म होता है। और अब तो मोदी की नसों में लहू नहीं, गरम सिंदूर बह रहा है।
So, in a way, we are now entering the domestic articulation of what has happened. We've moved, and this could change because even today there has been an encounter an ongoing encounter in the Kashmir Valley. A Jawan has lost his life in the line of duty. We have Asim Munir elevated as a field marshal in Pakistan. We could see renewed aggressions from Pakistan. So we are in a very fragile sort of post ceasefire. It's not even a word we use, place with Pakistan. But I want to read out what Jairam Ramesh said in response. What I'm saying is that the politics are quite clearly here. He says that the Prime Minister has resorted to hollow dialogues like those in films. He should answer the following questions. Why are the ruthless killers of Pahalgam still free? Why have you not chaired an all-party meeting? Why did you not call a special session of parliament? And why have you remained silent on the repeated claims being made by Donald Trump? So, we are now in that phase where the political noise is taking over the headlines. How do you see this unfolding going by past experience? You will remember after Pulwama, the BJP went to town against parties who had showed some skeptical about the Balakot strikes. So this time also, Rahul Gandhi's questions to Jaishankar may boomerang politically. I don't know how you see it playing out. I can't hear
a
Neerja. Yeah, sorry, go
I
ahead.
said you're absolutely right. We're now into more the psychological warfare,
Mhm.
the information war, the war to capture the minds back at, the domestic constituency. Now, will this have an impact on elections, which is a deciding factor? Elections are going to be in Bihar in year end. I don't know. Bihar is more likely to be fought on hyper local factors.
Mhm. Mhm.
Will this play out 6 months down the line? I don't know. Of course, it's an evolving situation on our borders. So we don't know whether it can escalate at any time in the coming weeks and months. Then, of course, come the, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Assam, West Bengal next year, and very important, Gujarat and Uttar Pradesh in 2027. So, will it affect state elections? Again, depends on what happens on our borders, what Pakistan does. Will they sit quiet now, or will they continue to rile India? Will they continue to go in for terror attacks? So, as I say, it's an evolving situation. Very difficult to say at this time what the political trajectory is going to be as a result, and what India's response is also going to be, and that will also shape the future politics.
Finally, what is the mood that you pick up in both parties? Because as you said, it's interesting that Tharoor is actually leading the most critical delegation to the United States of America, among other countries. And a congressman said to me when I was arguing, I said, "Why did you just not name Tharoor?" And he said he wouldn't have even been chairman of the Parliamentary Panel on Foreign Affairs if it were not, for us. So how can he just act like this individual who's somehow bigger than the party? How do you see this playing out in the months ahead?
Look, Barkha, an individual is not bigger than a party, but that does not mean the party keeps the individual down.
Correct.
And if you have talent, the BJP is obviously using his talent, his articulation, his fluency with the issue as well as the language. And he's able to get across. I've seen with media people from Western capitals that, these exchanges that he's had is very convincing. He's put them on the defensive. They started off the interview very aggressively, and so on. And this is in India's interest. So I think for the Congress to say, the Congress, you cannot have likes and dislikes shape Congress party and its policy. And you cannot have one or two people decide what the Congress's response and policy is going to be. It has to be widened. And if the government and the BJP have managed to make one point, it is to show to the country, look, the Congress party has huge talent, many senior people who can lead the Congress party. A, B, C, D, and they're taking them to world capitals as part of the delegation. And let's also be honest, you may like Shashi Tharoor or you may not like him at all. Today, post Pahalgam, if there is one person who's come center stage of opposition politics, it's strange way, it is Shashi Tharoor.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. So we're in for some very interesting time. It may not have any direct impact on like Bihar elections or the elections you mentioned, but in terms of recall, respect, the way people are talking, anecdotally, I think Shashi Tharoor has emerged as a very, very, as you said, almost like a phenomena of the times. And so it's very, very interesting development there. Just shows nothing is permanent in politics. There was a time when Shashi Tharoor was at the receiving end of the fiercest barbs from the right wing. He locked, horns with the prime minister himself. But politics, everything can change on a dime. Thank you so much, Neerja Chowdhury. Always learn a lot from you. Thank you so much. And take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.